Hello, welcome to the second video of your notes. Unfortunately, I can only fit a certain amount of time on each of these videos, which is why we have two, but it gives you a chance to get up, take a break, and stretch, and then come back. This video will be much shorter. We're just finishing up the notes section. I have given you a PDF with two notes sheets located in the Session Resources tab up at the top. If you have a printer and are able to print these out, go ahead and do that before moving on with the video. If you don't have a printer, that's okay, but you will have to be handwriting what's on this paper, which is totally fine. You can just pause the video, write the notes, and press play to get the rest of them. We're going to be doing one page today, and then we'll do the other page tomorrow. All right? So, probably a good idea to go ahead and print both of them out. You will need to cut them out so they'll fit into your composition notebook. So go ahead and print if you need to, cut and glue if you need to, and let's get started with the second part of our notes. Okay, so once you have them glued into your journal, we are going to be looking at this part right here. I can write simple expressions that record calculations with numbers and interpret numerical expressions without evaluating them. So remember, the standard we just got through, order of operations, is all about solving problems with more than one operation. This standard, all about simple expressions, has us looking at and writing expressions in both words and numbers, but not actually solving them. So you might see some simple expressions that go beyond what a fifth grader can solve, or even could give you a negative number. But that's okay, because we're not asking you to solve these problems. We're just asking you to record them in either words or numbers. So, let's get started. This is just the practice portion of our notes. So we can see that it says write as a numerical expression. So it's given to us in words, and we're going to write it in numbers. It says add 5 and 6, then multiply by 2. So I'm going to take my pen, which you should still have, and I'm just going to write the operation symbols that I see. I see add and multiply. So that tells me that over here in my equation, I'm going to need an addition symbol and a multiplication symbol. Well, what are we adding? We're adding 5 and 6. All right, well, let's head over here and let's write that. And then it says, then multiply by 2. Are we done? Some students would say, yes, Miss Ross, we have everything we need. 5 and 6, multiply by 2. We've got it. But be careful. Part of writing simple expressions is making sure we're writing it using the correct order. In this problem, it tells us that we need to add 5 and 6, then multiply, which means this comes first and this comes second. Well, wait a minute. In order of operations, multiplication has to come before addition. So if they're telling me that addition should come before multiplication, we're going to need, say it with me, parentheses. Very good. We're going to need parentheses around the 5 plus 6. So when you're writing simple expressions as numbers, you need to make sure you're always asking yourself, do I need parentheses? And in this case, the answer is yes. Yes, we do. Now, because this is an addition problem, then multiplied by 2, you can actually put the 2 in either location because it doesn't matter. So you could write it this way, or you could put the 2 on the front. That commutative property will let you switch it around. And remember, that's multiplication and addition that have that ability. Subtraction and division, you cannot flip-flop where we put it, but we can in this case. So you could also flip-flop the 5 and the 6 because, again, that commutative property is addition has that as well. Okay, so you must have parentheses, but the order that we write it doesn't matter because it's addition and multiplication. All right, let's look at the next one. The next one asks us to write this equation in word form. There are lots of ways that we could write this. All right, so what I come up with and what you come up with might be different. I'm going to come up with kind of like the 5th grade way that I would like for you to write it, using mathematical vocabulary whenever possible. All right? So in this problem, I can see that there's going to be addition and there's going to be multiplication. I also see that the addition is inside of parentheses. So that tells me, hey, why not use that term, that vocabulary word that we put down here for the answer to an addition problem? Let's use the word sum when we write this. All right? So what are we doing if we use sum? Well, what are we doing with the sum? We're multiplying it by 2. We're multiplying it. Okay, so here's what I think I'm going to write. I'm going to write multiply the sum of 5 and 7 by 2. I think that's a pretty advanced 5th grade way of writing that. Again, not the only way, but the 5th grade way. So we can see we're using the word sum because we have addition inside of parentheses. So get that highlighter out that I told you we'd need. Highlight that word sum. So this is why we're using the word sum, because we see addition inside of parentheses, so we can use our mathematical vocabulary. What are we doing with the sum? We're multiplying it by 2. Multiply the sum of 5 and 7 by 2. You could have also said find the sum of 5 and 7 and multiply by 2. See, lots of ways that we could say it. All right, let's look at the next one. We're going to, again, write this in numbers as a numerical expression. Subtract the product of 6 and 8 from 100. All right, so I see subtract and I see product. And we know that product means multiplication. Notice how I'm using my chart to help me. I'm finding the words. If the word's not in here, put the word in here once you know what it means. All right, but we're looking at product. Product means multiplication. Okay, so I need subtraction and I need multiplication. But wait, product was one of my special vocabulary words, wasn't it? That tells me I'm going to need parentheses. Put parentheses around it. All right, so what does it say? It says subtract the product. The product of what? The product of 6 and 8. So the answer to the multiplication problem of 6 and 8. So let's write that first. All right, 6 times 8, I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses. Subtract the product of 6 and 8 from 100. Okay, subtract this from 100. From 100. Is 100 going to be in the front or in the back? Am I going to write it like this? Or am I going to write it like this? Don't you write it down yet, because we got to figure out which one's correct. Which way? Which of these is showing that we're subtracting the product from 100? That word right there, from, that tells me that 100 needs to be in the front. This problem, we are taking 6 times 8 from 100. We're starting with 100 and taking this away. This one is not taking it from 100. We're taking 100 from the 6 times 8. So this is not the one we want. I know it looks kind of like we wrote it backwards because the 100's at the end. But with subtraction, you've really got to think it through logically. When we see subtract from something, that something goes in the front. 100 minus 6 times 8. Now, we put parentheses around the 6 times 8, but let me ask you this question. Do we need them? Do we need the parentheses? If I wrote it without the parentheses, does the problem change? What do you think? Well, let's use order of operations. Order of operations says in this problem we do what's in parentheses first, which is the multiplication, and then we would subtract. Down here, order of operations says multiplication comes before subtraction, so we would do multiplication and then subtraction. So it's the same either way. So we don't have to have the parentheses in it. Now, I like them because I think it keeps everything more organized, and when I see the word product, I like to put it inside of parentheses. But in this case, to extend our thinking, we don't actually need the parentheses if we don't want them. But it's always better to be safe than sorry, in my opinion. Let's do one more. All right, we're going to write this in word form. We see 24 minus 8 divided by 2. 24 minus 8, and then I see divided by 2. But look at that 24 minus 8. It's inside of parentheses. Oops, I forgot to highlight up here. We said product, but we didn't show where the product was. There. All right. Now, down here, we see the subtraction inside of the parentheses. That tells me use one of your special vocabulary words. Well, what's my special vocabulary word for subtraction? Let's go back and look. Subtraction, difference. Let's use the word difference because that's how we want to write in 5th grade. We want to use our vocabulary words. So we're going to use the word difference somehow. Well, what are we doing? We're finding the difference of 24 minus 8, and we're going to take that difference and divide it by 2. We're dividing the difference by 2. Okay, so let's write it. The difference between 24 and 8. Ooh, 24 looks kind of weird. Divided by 2. The difference of 24 and 8 divided by 2. And I used that word difference because I had subtraction inside of parentheses, which says you need to do that before you divide by 2. If I had just said 24 minus 8 divided by 2, we would have written it with no parentheses. That means we would have done we would have done 8 divided by 2 first, using order of operations. So because we had those parentheses, I wanted to use my word difference. Notice also divided by 2 is at the end, so we need to make sure we say divided by 2 at the end over here as well. All right? So there you go, my friends. Our notes are done. Now you're going to work on your, not your independent activity, you're going to work on an activity, the lesson activity. And once you get done with that, then you'll move on to your OYO, your independent activity. All right? Good job taking these notes. I know that they were nice and neat, and I hope you're starting to think about all the ways that you can talk about and express numerical expressions as simple expressions in words. Have fun with the lesson activity. Do your best on your OYO assignment, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow for our next lesson. No, I won't, because tomorrow is Wednesday. So I'll see you right back here on Thursday for our next lesson. It still won't be live with me, all right? But we'll go through and we'll learn even more about simple expressions. I'll see you then, friends.